Welcome back everybody, it's Chad Morris aka Simo with another art video for you. This one was inspired by red and blue magnetic polarities and the flower of life, and if you're not too familiar with just how profoundly the flower of life and polarity affects our reality, be sure to check out my YouTube page for my series simply titled Our Scientific Spiritual World Parts 1 through 5 for mind-blowing and inspirational depth, no joke. So to start this project, I printed out patterns from the flower of life, then cut and traced them onto a thin sheet of plastic which my friend and I used as separate stencils for the colored foam. After tracing and cutting over 100 tedious shapes, I was almost ready to begin putting them in place, but first I had to measure and plot the graph on the board to make the design nice and geometrically centered. I left out the part of me moving these pieces around just trying to come up with a good enough design that filled the whole board, but that took at least a few hours on its own, so once I finally had a good design, I began gluing them in place one by one, carefully centering them and trying not to smear the glue in the process, as that can really slow you down to have to stop and clean up mistakes. With the first layer in place, I was ready to break out my trusty hot glue gun and began the ever time-consuming process of the outlining. I admit I use these glue sticks too often, but I've yet to find anything that has a better result, so I just stick with it. Though it does take patience to the max, because each side probably took about 5 to 6 hours to do. If you move too fast, it's almost impossible to be precise, unfortunately. With the first layer completely outlined, I basically started all over again and made smaller stencils and repeated the process for the second layer. Several hours later, I glued the new pieces in place and got right back to the glue gun process. And I cut out a lot of that since it's just so repetitive and kind of boring to watch it again and again. Second layer down, and now I was ready for the final layer, which I used holographic vinyl sheets like in previous projects and repeated the same process with making even smaller stencils. I finally realized that I could just cut Q-tips in half to make handling the stencils much easier. Next I glued the vinyl pieces in place and proceeded to add the hot glue. Another downfall of using the glue gun is how messy it is, and leaves a crazy amount of thin, stringy excess to clean up after each layer. As always, I've always got to celebrate when I finish the most tedious part.
Thank God. Took forever. It always does though. But hey, it's freaking beautiful, isn't it?
Looks like I celebrated a little too early though, because I forgot I wanted to outline the whole thing as well. And once I was really done this time, I had to go through and clean up the whole board with rubbing alcohol to get rid of all the dust and debris to prepare for the finishing gloss. And it was no easy task getting cleaning in between all these little crevices, but eventually I got there and then took it outside to spray the Mod Podge gloss with 2 separate coats. After letting it dry, all that was left was to put on the hangers in the back, and finally, after an unbelievable amount of patience and effort, I could hang it up and admire the hell out of it. Let me know what you think, and message me if you'd like to be the proud owner. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one soon. Take it easy. Simo out.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, Brahma? Is it a winner? Is it better than the taste of your dirty ass foot?